No credits, nowhere to go. The alien city of Karzon Prime was bright and loud. The sky above was always purple, glowing with lights from flying ships and neon signs. But on the ground, not everyone lived well. Jace, a human man in his late 20s, walked slowly through the crowded street. His clothes were dirty. His boots were worn out. He looked tired, cold, and hungry. He had no credits, no friends, no place to stay. He came to this planet 2 weeks ago, looking for work. But aliens on this planet didn't trust humans. Every time he tried to get a job, they laughed or turned him away. Humans are weak. Humans cause trouble. Go back to your own planet. Today, the boarding house where he had been sleeping finally kicked him out. He couldn't pay for another night. The manager, a grumpy insect-like alien, grabbed his bag and threw it into the mud. Out. No credits, no room. Now Jace was alone, standing in the rain. The cold wind cut through his thin jacket. The street was full of aliens walking past, him not even looking at him. He tried asking one alien for help. The alien hissed and walked away faster. He sat down near a wall behind a trash bin to stay out of the rain. His stomach growled. He hadn't eaten in 2 days. He closed his eyes and whispered to himself, "What am I doing here?" Suddenly a soft voice spoke from behind him. "You'll freeze out here, human." Jace turned around. A tall alien woman stood under a black umbrella. Her skin was soft purple and her eyes were large and golden. Her clothes were simple but clean. She looked calm, but there was sadness in her eyes. "My name is Velraya," she said. "I have a room. It's not much, but it's dry and warm." Jace blinked. I don't have credits," he said quickly. "I can't pay." "I didn't ask for money," she replied. He stared at her. No one ever offered him kindness here. It felt strange. "Why?" he asked. She looked at him for a moment, then said, "Come, we can talk inside." Velraya led him through side streets and alleys until they reached an old building. It was made of gray stone and metal. It looked like it had seen better days. Some windows were cracked and the walls were covered in moss. Inside, the air was warm. The halls were dim but clean. She took him up 2 floors and opened a door to a small room. "This is yours for now," she said. "There's a bed, heater, and a wash unit." Jace walked in, still confused. "I can't accept this without doing something in return," she smiled slightly. "Help with repairs. Keep the place clean. And..." She paused. "Just be decent." He nodded slowly. "I can do that." Later that night, Jace sat on the bed, staring at the ceiling. The blanket felt like heaven. His stomach still ached, but at least he was dry. He thought about Velraya. Why had she helped him? Something about her felt lonely. He remembered the way she looked at him. Not like other aliens, with hate or fear, but like she had seen someone like him before. In the hallway, Velraya walked to her private room. She opened the door and stepped inside. On the wall, a small photo was hanging. It showed a human man, smiling with his arm around her shoulders. She touched the photo gently. "You were kind. And he is too," she whispered. Then she turned off the light. In the room next to hers, Jace tried to sleep, but he could hear faint sounds through the wall. Crying. He sat up, listening. It was her. He didn't know what to say or what to do, so he said nothing. He simply whispered to himself, "Thank you." He didn't know that this small act of kindness would change both of their lives forever. A strange deal with a stranger. The next morning, Jace woke up to a smell he hadn't experienced in days: warm food. He sat up confused and saw a small tray near the door. A bowl of soup, a piece of soft bread, and a glass of clean water. No note, no explanation. His stomach didn't care. He finished every bite in silence. After washing his face and changing into the spare shirt Velraya had left him, Jace stepped out into the hallway. The building was quiet, but not empty. A few strange alien children peeked from corners. Some whispered. Others simply stared. He could feel it. The building didn't like him. Later, as he was fixing a loose pipe near the stairwell, a heavy voice growled behind him. "You don't belong here, human." Jace turned slowly. A tall, thick-scaled alien male stood near him. His eyes were black and cold. "I'm not looking for trouble," Jace said calmly. "You are trouble," the alien spat. "The landlady may be soft, but the rest of us won't stay silent." Before Jace could reply, Velraya appeared at the top of the stairs. "Leave him alone, Rokan," she said. Her voice wasn't loud, but it was firm. "He lives here now." Rokan glared, but he backed away. "You'll regret it," he muttered before walking off. That evening, Velraya and Jace sat in the old dining room. It had mismatched chairs and a cracked window, but the lights were warm. "I didn't mean to bring trouble," Jace said quietly. Velraya looked at him. "You didn't. It was already here." Jace hesitated. "Why me?" he finally asked. "There are thousands of people in this city. Why help me?" She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she took a small device from her pocket and placed it on the table. It projected an old image into the air, a human man, standing tall with a confident smile beside her. Jace blinked. "That's your husband?" "Yes," she said softly. "He was a good man. He saved my life during the war, gave me shelter, taught me how humans care, not just fight." "What happened to him?" "Her." Eyes looked far away. "He never came back from his last mission." Silence. "I kept this place running alone after he died," she said. "But lately it's been harder. The tenants are restless, the council raises taxes. I needed help, not money. Someone decent." Jace looked down. "I'm not him." She smiled faintly. "I know. But you remind me of the best part of him. That night, while fixing a broken heating unit in the lower hallway, Jace heard whispers. Why is she protecting the human? She's still mourning that dead soldier. Maybe she plans to replace him. Jace tightened the bolt slowly, pretending he didn't hear, but his hands were shaking. Later, as he walked back upstairs, a small alien girl stopped him. She had green skin and big eyes. "Are you Velraya's new husband?" she asked bluntly. "What? No." Jace laughed awkwardly. "I'm just helping out." "Oh," she said, clearly disappointed, "but she smiles more when you're around." Jace had no answer. In her room, Velraya sat near the window watching the night sky. She opened an old box and pulled out a necklace, half broken, once worn by her human husband. She held it tightly, remembering his voice. And then from the hallway she heard Jace laughing with the children. Something warm touched her heart again, something she thought was gone forever. But outside the building, in the shadow of an alley, Rokan and two others were watching. "He's inside now," one of them said. Rokan's eyes burned with jealousy. "She's choosing him over us? Over her own kind?" He clenched his fists. "Then we'll make her regret it." The building hates humans. Midnight was never quiet in the old building. Pipes groaned. Doors creaked. Something always scratched behind the walls, but this night felt different, darker. Jace woke up suddenly. His body stiffened. Something didn't feel right. Then he heard it. Thud. 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 Footsteps in the hallway. Slow. Heavy. Unfriendly. He got out of bed, walked quietly to the door, and opened it just a crack. Down the hallway, 3 shadows moved past. Their eyes glowed faintly in the dim light. It was Rokan and 2 others. Jace didn't hear them speak. But the way they moved, they weren't here to fix leaky pipes. The next morning, Velraya acted normal. But Jace noticed a dent in her door and fresh scratches on the wall near her room. When he asked, she only said, "Don't worry." But Jace did worry. Later, as he fixed broken lights in the hall, he saw the words, "Leave human," scratched into the metal wall. That evening, the building felt colder, even though the heater worked fine. When Jace passed the common room, the usual group of alien tenants fell silent. One spat on the floor. Another muttered, "First her mate was human, now this one?" He ignored it, but as he entered the maintenance room, he found the toolbox smashed, wires cut, and coolant leaking across the floor. Someone didn't want him fixing things anymore. Velraya found him sweeping the broken tools. "You're not safe here," she said softly. "I already knew that," Jace replied. She knelt beside him. "They think I'm trying to replace my husband, that I've betrayed his memory by letting you stay." Jace sighed. "I didn't come here to cause more pain." "You didn't. Their hearts were already broken," she said. "But pain needs someone to blame." The next day, while repairing the rooftop antenna, Jace slipped. The safety rope had been cut. He barely caught the ledge in time. As he pulled himself back up, heart pounding, he looked around. No one in sight. But someone had tried to kill him. That night, Velraya opened her locked door and let him in for the first time. The room was quiet and dim. A small shrine stood in the corner, candles, old pictures, and one broken object in the center. A human dog tag. Jace stared at it. "That belonged to him?" he asked. "Yes," she whispered. "He died saving alien children from a fire. They praised him for 1 week, then forgot him. Now they spit on you for simply being like him." Jace looked at her. "Why keep the shrine hidden?" "Because the building hated him too," she replied. "Just like it hates you." Jace sat on the floor, staring at the photos of her past. In one of them, Velraya was smiling, truly smiling, with her human husband beside her. She didn't smile like that anymore. "Why don't you leave?" Jace asked. She shook her head. "This place was the last thing we built together." Jace nodded slowly. "Then I'll help protect it." But downstairs, Rokan and his gang were already planning. "The humans still alive?" one hissed. "Tonight we finish what we started." Rokan's eyes narrowed. "No more warnings. No more threats. This ends now." The storm came in. Silence. The building would never be the same again. Secrets behind the locked door. The explosion shook the whole building. It wasn't big, but loud enough to wake everyone. Jace jumped from his bed, coughing as smoke filled the hallway. Sparks flew from the walls. A power line had been cut, deliberately. He rushed out, heart racing. Velraya was already in the hall, guiding scared tenants toward the stairwell. "Rokan," she said without hesitation. "He's testing how far I'll go to protect you." Jace's fists clenched. "I'm not hiding anymore." "No," she said quickly. "Let me show you something first." Velraya led him back to her private room. But this time she unlocked a second door inside. It creaked open, revealing a hidden chamber lit by soft blue light. Inside was a small stasis pod, old and dusty, and next to it, a display wall filled with data chips, human medals, and alliance certificates. Jace's eyes widened. This was your husband's?" She nodded. "He was part of the first human contact team during the war," Velraya explained. "While others fought, he rescued, repaired, rebuilt. He didn't bring fear, he brought hope." She walked to a shelf and picked up an old holoprojector. She pressed a button. A glowing image appeared, her husband laughing with alien children, standing proudly beside Velraya. Then the image flickered and changed. It showed a battlefield. Smoke, screaming, her husband dragging a wounded alien to safety, then taking a shot to the back. The image froze. Jace looked away. "He died saving your people," Jace whispered. "And now they attack me for being human." Velraya didn't answer. Instead, she opened a drawer and pulled out a rusted energy blade. "He left this for me, but I kept it hidden and afraid of what it reminded me of." She turned to Jace. "But I can't be afraid anymore." Downstairs, Rokan's gang was already back. They wore face coverings now and carried stun batons. "No more warnings, no more games." "This time," Rokan growled, "he leaves." or we make them both disappear. Jace stood near the front entrance waiting. When Rokan entered, he was shocked to see Jace armed with a power wrench and standing tall. Velraya stepped forward beside him. Enough. This building belongs to both of us now. You want him, you'll have to go through me, Rokan sneered. You lost your way when you opened your heart to a human. No, she said firmly. I lost my fear. He lunged, but this time, Jace didn't run. The fight was fast and brutal. Jace took hits but stayed standing. Velraya fought with skill and fury, her rusted blade glowing for the first time in years. When the dust settled, Rokan and his gang were on the floor, defeated and humiliated. The other tenants watched in silence from the stairs. No one spoke. But something had changed. That night, Velraya and Jace stood on the rooftop. The stars above were bright and quiet. She handed him her husband's medal. You earned this more than I ever did, she said. Jace shook his head. No, I'm not trying to replace him. She looked into his eyes. You aren't, but maybe you're here to finish what he started. Below them, in the building's shadow, the city lights continued to flicker. But for once, inside, there was peace. Wanted, human and widow. The next morning, the building was quieter than usual. Jace stepped into the hall and noticed something strange. Every door was shut, every window locked, and the children who once peeked at him were nowhere to be seen. Then he saw it, a glowing red notice on the main entrance door. Shelter under investigation. Human trespass suspected. Property at risk. Signed, Karzan City Enforcement Unit. Velraya tore the notice down and crumpled it in her hand. They're not just coming for you now, she said. They're coming for both of us. In the marketplace, whispers had already begun. The landlady is hiding a human. She's breaking city law. She's protecting him like he's her new mate. Some aliens demanded she be arrested. Others were too scared to speak. But most just watched, waiting for the drama to unfold like a public show. Back at the building, a message arrived through the central screen. You have 24 hours to surrender the human or vacate the premises. Velraya looked at Jace. They want me to choose between my home, Wine, and you. Jace took a deep breath. Then I'll leave. No, she said without hesitation. I already lost someone once. I won't lose someone again, not to fear. As the sun set, a crowd began to gather outside the building. It wasn't just neighbors, it was enforcers now. Jace watched from the upper window as a transport ship landed on the street. Armed soldiers stepped out. Their armor shined like polished glass. He turned to Velraya. They're serious. So am I, she said, and pressed a button on a hidden panel inside the wall. With a low hum, the building's outer shields activated, flickering, to life like a glowing shell. You had a defense system this whole time? Jace asked in shock. It was his last gift to me, she said. A safety net for when things got too dangerous. Inside the building, a few alien tenants began to panic. We'll be arrested. She's protecting a human criminal. They'll shut this place down. Velraya stepped into the middle of the hallway. No one will be harmed, she said loudly. This human has done nothing wrong. If you truly believe he is your enemy, then leave. To her surprise, no one moved. Even those who once insulted. Jace stood silently looking down at their feet. Outside, the city officers prepared to breach the door. Landlady Velraya, a voice called through the loudspeaker. You are protecting an undocumented human. This is your final warning. Jace touched her arm gently. If I leave now, maybe they'll stop. She looked at him, eyes shining. And if they don't? Just when everything seemed ready to explode, a small alien girl walked out of the building. She was one of the tenant's daughters, barely 5 years old. She stood in front of the officers and shouted, "Leave our human alone!" Everyone froze, then her father stepped out and placed a hand on her shoulder. She's right, he fixed our lights, he repaired our heater, he played with our children, he earned his place here. One by one, more tenants came forward. Quiet. At first, then bold. The officer looked uncertain now. This isn't your fight, Velraya said calmly. But if you make it one, We won't back down. After a long pause, the officers retreated to their ship. The shields stayed up all night. But inside the building, a community was finally born. Later that night, Jace and Vel Raya sat on the balcony watching the stars. You stood up for me, Jace said. No, Vel Raya replied. We stood up for us. And for the first time in a long, long time. She smiled like she meant it. The stand for each other. At dawn, something unexpected happened. The building doors opened and no one ran. No one packed bags. No one fled in fear. They stayed, silent but strong. Vel Raya stood by the doorway in her long dark robe, hands folded behind her back. Jace stood beside her, his arm bandaged from the rooftop fall but his spine straight like a soldier. Do you think they'll return? Jace asked. They always return, she said. But this time, we won't be alone. The news had spread, not just about a human living in the building, but about an alien landlady who refused to give him up. The story traveled fast across the district. Some called it foolish. Others called it brave. Soon, off-world reporters began to show up. Hover drones recorded from a distance. Whispers turned into debates. An alien widow defending a human stranger? Why him? Is she in love? Or just trying to relive the past? Inside the building, things changed too. Tenants who once ignored Jace now nodded to him in the hall. The children who once hid behind doors now greeted him with shy smiles. He fixed a sink for one family. He repaired a damaged floor panel for another. Not for money, not for thanks. He simply helped, and they remembered. Later that week, a city official came in person. A tall, silver-skinned alien named Magistrate Selkor arrived with a team of guards and a court order. You have harbored an unregistered human male, he declared, standing in the front lobby. Vel Raya didn't blink. He is not a criminal. He's a resident. By what law? Selkor snapped. By mine, she answered. Selkor raised a hand, and his guards began stepping forward. That's when Rona, an old alien tenant, stepped in front of them. She was thin, bent with age, but her voice was sharp. This human repaired the electric grid that your people ignored for years, she said. Another tenant joined her, then another, and another. A wall of voices, alien voices, stood between the guards and Jace. He saved my son when the stairs collapsed. He brought food to my sick mother. He belongs here. Selkor looked at them, then at Jace. Then he turned to Vel Raya. You've caused a political storm. The council will not be pleased. Vel Raya took a deep breath. Let them come. That night, as the stars rose high, the building felt alive. Not with fear, but with unity. Vel Raya sat with Jace in the quiet courtyard. The lights around them glowed soft and golden. You didn't run, she said. Neither did you, he replied. She looked at him. I kept thinking, if he were still alive, my husband, I wonder if he would have made the same stand. Jace turned to her. He did. Through you. She smiled gently. Maybe, she whispered. Maybe now. I can stop living in the past. Far above them, from a council chamber orbiting the planet, alien leaders discussed her name. Vel Raya, the widow, the rebel, the one who broke silence in for a human. No credits, no husband, no problem. A week later, a strange silence fell over the district. Not a fearful silence, but a waiting one. The city council hadn't acted. The enforcers hadn't returned. The people hadn't forgotten. Instead, something unexpected happened. They started visiting one by one. Aliens from other buildings, from other streets, came to see the human and the widow. Some wanted to argue. Others brought gifts. A few just came to watch. They stood outside Vel Raya's building and looked up, as if expecting to see some great monument. But all they saw was a tired human sweeping the steps, and a quiet, alien woman watering the plants. And yet that was enough. Inside, Jace walked through the hall with a list in his hand. Broken doors to fix, lights to rewire, old heaters to reset. He passed tenants who now smiled and nodded. An old alien boy handed him a tool. A mother invited him for soup. A teenage girl asked if he could fix her music console. He wasn't invisible anymore. He was useful. That night, Velraya stood on the rooftop, staring at the sky. Jace joined her, carrying a blanket. The wind was cold. "I think the buildings finally accepted me," he said with a half-smile. "It had to," she said. "You fixed half its bones." They both laughed softly, then silence. Then she looked at him, really looked. "You came here with nothing, Jace. No credits, no name anyone knew. And yet, you gave more than most who came rich." He shrugged. "All I had was time and hands, so I used them. You also gave me something I didn't ask for," she added. "What's that?" "Hope." Later that week, a package arrived. Official seal. High-level clearance. Velraya opened it carefully. Inside was a single document, stamped, with both human and alien sigils. Honorary citizenship granted human Jace Marin, approved for civil residency. Jace blinked. This makes me legal?" She smiled. "This makes you home." But that wasn't the biggest surprise. That evening, the building gathered in the courtyard. Velraya had prepared a small feast, a celebration, she said, for survival. Lights hung from railings, music played from an old speaker. Even the shy ones came down. Everyone brought something to share. When Jace walked out, freshly cleaned and dressed in simple white, everyone clapped. "You did this," a child said. "No," Jace corrected. "We did this." At the center of it all, Velraya raised a toast. "A long time ago," she said, voice clear, "I lost my husband. I lost my joy. I lived in this building like a ghost. And then..." She turned to Jace. A man with nothing walked in and somehow gave everything. Jace stood, unsure of what to say. He looked at the people. Aliens once hostile, now smiling. Then he looked at her. "If you ever need someone to fix the roof again," he said slowly, "or cook breakfast, or hold your hand on hard days." He stepped closer. "I'd like to stay. Not as a tenant. Not even as your helper." He held out his hand. "As your partner." Velraya didn't answer with words. She took his hand, and the whole courtyard clapped. They didn't need a grand wedding. They didn't need credits or power. They had each other, and in a broken, noisy alien city, that was more than enough. No credits, no husband, no problem. Now, she had him. And together, they had home.